It's the state of the dungeon. It's a video that Rob does about his games. Yeah! Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to my State of the Dungeon address. I am Rob, and this is going to be for the game that took place on the 29th of October. This is driving towards the end of the campaign Rise of Tiamat. Our characters are on the cusp of watching the army roll out to go to Baldur's Gate to relieve the city and prepare to march on the Well of Dragons. We, of course, are not going with the army because we are striking at the cult directly and hoping to prevent them from getting their ritual on. That will cause them to summon Tiamat, bring about the end of the world, things like that. Nothing serious. So, since we are the destined heroes, we're the only ones who can stop this. So we're going to show up on their doorstep. Well, actually, we have a plan to do something just like that. We find out that there's a way to get us directly to the Well of Dragons. How, you might ask? Well, it turns out that one of the dragons who's working with us, Protanthor, happens to have an observation post directly on the Well of Dragons, so that the good dragons can observe when the evil dragons are going to the graveyard to die, so they know which enemies they don't have to worry about anymore. They also, presumably, can keep an eye out to make sure that the Cult of the Dragon can't just turn the corpses into Dracoliches whenever they want, with whatever success that had. So, the Gold Dragon offered to send us to this location, which would give us a huge advantage of being right there inside the defenses of the Cult of the Dragon, who are almost certainly ready to take on the assault from the combined armies of the Sword Coast and all the other allies we've gotten together. Primarily the metallic dragons and giants in their flying cloud castle. So we're ready for the fight as best as we can. We get all of our last minute preparations, spend the money that we've been basically given to prepare with. I know everybody got some neat toys. I got a bunch of scrolls. Fun times. We're had by pretty much everybody. And we went to talk to the dragon, who quickly sent us off to this observation room, which is a tiny little chamber. But we were surprised to find it's actually on top of the volcano peak that the Well of the Dragons is built into. And we have a couple of days to wait until the army shows up, so we just observe. It's maddening. On the cusp, the dragon cult and all their strength are around us in all directions. We can look out the window and we can see dragons clearly who would try to attack us, tear us apart if they could. But in this place that's protected, they can't. And we are right there. We could literally pop out, jump down into the caldera, and get right into the heart of the Well of the Dragons. Well, as it turns out, we take advantage of that. I cast Arcane Eye to scout out the area. And sure enough, it turns out that directly down the caldera is the new Temple of Tiamat that they built. It's a big structure with no external doors. You can't go down into the caldera and go into the temple. Also, that is where a lot of the workings of the ritual are going to be taking place. Most of which is going to involve the slaughter of hundreds of innocent people by this huge red dragon called the Prophet of Tiamat, or the Chosen of Tiamat. And it's bigger than any other ancient red dragon. It is by far one of the most powerful dragons on the face of the world. And it's relishing its role in the ritual. So, at least it'll be quick if he flames them. But we would save them if we could, but really, that's not the end game we're shooting for. We have to disrupt the ritual. That's where it all comes down to. So, we find out, because we had talked in advance with the former Green Dragon Worm Speaker. I guess technically he is still the Green Dragon Worm Speaker. It's just he's now revealed to us that he is a double agent, so we don't mind him as much. He's told us how the Well of the Dragons is laid out. He has intimate knowledge of where everything is. And while we would love to go in, for instance, and stop the operation of the Drakhorn, the Drakenhorn is, of course, keeping a lot of the dragons there for the defenses of the well. If we can disrupt the ritual and we have the time, we want to get over and stop that from sounding and maybe get some of those dragons to flee rather than being bound there, to cut down the casualties. And quite frankly, a world without dragons is a world that's less magical. It's not really our place to try to genocide the colored dragons. So I would personally like to go and do that. But that's not really what's important right now. What's important is that we stop Severin and his band. Apparently the ritual relies on Severin and 5 wizards, his Red Thayan wizards. So, in order to stop the ritual, we would have to silence the wizards. Once the ritual is started, we have to kill the red wizards. Okay. I'm also intent on getting rid of Severin, but that's a personal issue. So, we find the way to get into the temple. There's actually another set of side corridors that actually goes through the most high security areas. The living quarters for Severin and the mages, for instance. But we have to do it. It's a lot easier, though, when you have help on the inside. And again, nobody else on their side knew that the Green Dragon Worm Speaker was not their friend. He joined up with us because we were all kitted out as his guard. Mostly it was magical disguises, but it worked just fine. So we go through the tunnel and we end up inside the Temple of Tiamat. Not a place I would like to go for a vacation home. It's garish. It's got 5 large spires that go up in the air, and they meet at one central spire. But the internal chambers are basically there for the wizards to rise up into and conduct their ritual at a heightened point separate from all the others. This makes things a little challenging. Only a little, I suspect, but challenging. Down below, it was for the worm speakers themselves to stand guard over the ritual, which just happened to be... Remember, we've been doing a good job of busting worm speakers. We've already killed the black. We've driven off the white and captured him, and the green is on our side. So all that's left is the blue worm speaker, who was there with his blue dragon. And funny thing too, the masks that give the dragon worm speakers so much influence over dragons don't give them quite enough leverage to enslave the ancient dragons to their will, the most powerful of them. So they settle for less powerful adult dragons. Still nasty, no doubt, but it really would have changed things had we had to deal with an ancient blue dragon. We did not. So, we were just sitting there, watching, observing, waiting for the ritual to start, because I had ascertained that once the ritual starts, the wizards really can't defend themselves. They have to concentrate on the ritual or it's done. It's ruined. They might even die from the backlash. So, yeah. We wanted them to start the ritual, and we were going to finish it the old-fashioned way. So at the point where it's all supposed to go, and another stupid thing with Severin, another issue, if you're an evil guy and you're going to do a ritual that allows you to conquer the world, send out the notices that the hour is going to take place 2 hours after the ritual actually takes place. It will mess up the heroes every time. We would have been totally screwed. But we were there. All of a sudden, they're doing the ritual, they're doing their mojo, and the 5 wizards, who are all in the different annexes, start rising up, and they go up into those hollow spires. Severin himself is in the central chamber, and he rises up. Once I see them up there and I see the light shows start up, then I know their ritual has started in earnest. I'm the wizard, after all. I'm the one who's the authority to call this stuff. I'm like, we should hear some music. So I pulled out the horn to summon Myth. Gave it a blast. Myth is a champ. He came through at full speed through a portal which suddenly opened, a big silvery portal. Wham! Would have slammed right into that blue dragon. Came out ready to rip. Well, we got initiative. I go first. Rolled a 20. Who knew? Like, all right, I've got all these scrolls. Let's do Prismatic Spray. Prismatic Spray is a wonderful attack spell. Sometimes it is hot garbage. I got the hot garbage effect. The blue dragon ended up using a saving throw to avoid my effect completely. Did nothing. And the blue worm speaker, who turns out he is a half blue half dragon. Yay. They completely avoided the effects of my prismatic spray. That sucked. But I didn't spend any money on it, so yeah, it's okay. 5,000 gold I didn't waste. But well, then it all just kind of, the fight started. Glint steps up with the dragon hammer, what this thing is made for. And because of shenanigans, this is a hammer of thunderbolts. He's got the gauntlets, he's got the belt, he can use it. And again, through shenanigans, he can throw the hammer as many times as he has attacks. I know, it's weird. But he hits the dragon, rolls 3 attacks. Natural 20, natural 20, natural 20. You don't see that very often. The odds against it, incredible. But he pulled it off in the biggest fight of this campaign. Well, yeah, pretty much this will be the biggest fight of the campaign. He smacked down that dragon for 150 points of damage. Messed it up badly. Myth barely had to do anything. Myth breathed at it, burned it, compared to what it just took, nothing. It blasted Myth with some lightning. Myth avoided the worst of it. So, Myth is still in fine shape. As an ancient bronze dragon, he's our buddy. And of course, as the blood of Bahamut, he's my ace in the hole that this ritual is never going to work no matter what, because he's here, and while he's here, they can't summon Tiamat. So, the blue is in bad shape, and together we finish it off. That was a priority. We weren't as worried about the worm speaker because, well, adult blue dragon. We'd been messed up by a young blue dragon already. We really weren't looking for the adult version of that. So we nailed it as hard as we could. And it died rather fiercely. So the next phase was to take out the worm speaker. That was mostly Glint and Lydia. However, he had a nasty trick up his sleeve. He had the ability to sacrifice his own life, but to inflict as much damage as he had received the previous round back on his attackers. That was something to the tune of over 70 points of damage to Glint and 20 points of damage to Lydia. Yeah, Lydia didn't turn out too badly from that, but yeah, Glint got blasted. And the blue worm speaker died. So, kind of quiet now. Well, not really. What I did was activate my Boots of Levitation and start going up the spire. But Myth is like, showtime. And he goes and he starts climbing up the side of the spire. I'm like, can I get a ride? He's like, sure. So I'm now riding on Myth, this ancient bronze dragon. That's so epic. Dwarven wizard on top of a huge bronze dragon. It's got to be. All the others decided they were going to go up the spires to go after the individual red wizards, which is cool. That's pretty optimal. Varen, the Green Dragon Worm Speaker, who is our ally. By the way, he did comport himself well in fighting against the Blue Worm Speaker. Apparently they didn't like each other, and I'm not surprised. He is going up after our old friend that we had helped a long time ago at the Owl Well, Night Owl Well. If Galhard was there, he wouldn't mind it killing him because, well, he did kind of lie to us about what was going on, but I'm honestly much happier with going after Severin. Being an abjurer, I'm going to shut that wizard down hard. And the others are all going up after their own Red Wizard. Now, we don't think the Red Wizard... We think individually they're fairly powerful, but we're no slouches ourselves. So, short of an all-or-nothing spell, I have every bit of confidence that our guys are going to be able to take down those wizards, and we'll be able to end this ritual pretty quickly. So, looks like we're heading towards the end of this entire story and our last time with these characters. So, hopefully you've enjoyed this journey. It's almost over, one way or the other. I mean, if the evil can turn out a huge turnaround, we could all be done for. But I'm feeling pretty good about things, all things considered. So until next time, I'm Rob. This has been the State of the Dungeon Dress. Thank you, and farewell.